Hey, everybody. I am Tommy, and you're on the lifeboat. I'm glad you're here. Mrs. R. Gardner, good to see you. Shannon Smith, what's happening? Izzy E., have you been? Sandy Wendy, Shannon Smith, Teresa, Lacey Silver. Sign says, woo, stay away, fools. Yeah. It's a great song. It's a really good song. I danced to that song a million years ago. Man, I am so hoping I can get a show with a big guest soon. I am under no illusions. I won't really grow my channel, but that's not what it's about. It's about giving someone hope. Boy, there's a lot of truth to that, isn't there? Boy, there's a lot of truth to that. Well, I don't know any big names, man, but I could probably find some people that'd be willing to go on your channel. I don't know any big name people. Teresa, looking good and green. Yeah, I don't know where we'd find those. So we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Yeah, I'm not kidding. First of all, do you know that before we even got started today, that I think it was Linda Reese gave a $20 super chat to break the ice. God bless you. I really appreciate that. Truthfully, I wish I was here to say more about it, but unfortunately, I couldn't go live until just about then. Robin Miners, good to see you. Jason P. Debbie, what's happening? Hello, Angie. Angie. Boy, there's a lot of you we could sing the names of. Ben, send me an email, man, and I'd love to come on there. I'm sure we could find some stuff to talk about. I would love to do that. Mara, how are you? I live for now. Can't think of a better name. Kim is blue. You know, now that I've gotten to know, can't think of a better name. I tend to think they could have. I really do. They're somewhat creative and clever, more than the next. I think they probably could have come up with a better name. Just saying. Annika's mom, good to see you. Kim is blue. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. Hello, Chrissy. Hello, Kat. Good to see you. Good to see you. What a big carry on. How are you? I would like to shout out all of the mods, man. Our mods work really, really hard. Just Joan. I've been thinking, I think all of us have things hidden inside, things we fear, things we regret. This is where I have found a safe spot. I hope the world learns about the lifeboat. Wow, what a cool thing to say, man. What a really cool thing to say. There's Cricket. How are you, Cricket? Well, yep, get that kid tucked up and I'll see you. You know who I haven't seen yet? And I'll give her a, oh no, you know what? I think she said she wasn't going to be here tonight. Kristen Melinda. Did I see that in a post somewhere? I think I might have. Riley Schumann, how you been? May the odds be in your favor. There you go. There you go. Just saw Reese 1 year on YouTube. I hope you're really proud of her. She's a diamond. Anna, there's no question. I am absolutely proud of her. She has come so far. Frank Humphreys, good to see you. She really has come an awful long way. And Kathy Ann did a hell of a job of putting that together because it really does kind of highlight it and you can watch that progression. And then, you know, I'm looking forward to the second parts and all that because she's really begun to bloom. Egret, it's good to see you. I think she's really begun to bloom now that she's taking a little, she's got some control in her life. You know what I mean? L.A. Mac, good to see you. Laker Dog, how are you? Miss Sunrise Dawn, non-smoker, you know, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Tommy, I had to thank you one more time for my 1 year sobriety from alcohol today. Tina Marie, how good is that? I couldn't have done it without you and without this beautiful boat. Tina Marie, I am so proud of you, man. Can't believe it's a year. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. There's Lisa from Jersey. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Yadira, glad you're here. Yeah, so when you take back some kind of control over your life, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're someone who's suffering from an eating disorder, or you have a gambling addiction, or you have any of these things that are kind of like satellite addictions, right? Usually when someone says addiction, you think about dope and you think about all of those things. But there's a whole other genre of things that you can be addicted to that are habits as opposed to chemicals. But once you get one of those out of your life, once you can truthfully eliminate that, there's usually a period of time afterwards. Hold on, Lisa Trimble. Hi, how are you? Where you're going to go through this period. Once that monkey's off your back, you go through this period where you're like, you know what? I own this. I actually can make a life for myself. And, she was coming off of about 36 years. So I think since she got away from that situation that she was in, she seems to really, be doing a lot better in a lot of ways. City B, good to see you. And there's Linda Reese. Since your super chat was gone by the time I came in here, let me thank you again. I really appreciate you. John Van Geese, there he is. You have to go to sleep shortly. I know you're on that coast. Lisa Trimble, I'm glad to see you. Thank you for stopping in, and we will catch up. Lucia, Di Giovanni, I love it. Glad you're here. Let's see. I'm almost to the bottom of this. Flick Fox, what's happening? 3 a.m. here. So going to bed, just had to be positive conversation with the ex. Nice. Putting all my tools from the lifeboat to good use. He's getting clean. I love it. No blow for a couple of weeks and no weed. Woohoo! How good is that? Proud of you. How cool is that? Does it feel fantastic when you can intervene and start talking to somebody and you don't feel like, more often than not, people, you talk to somebody who's suffering from an addiction, whether that addiction be powdered, a chemical or anything else, but they're trapped in a cycle. They're doing something other than what is normal to feel comfortable in their own skin. Very often when someone approaches and tells us something like that, the first thing we do is go like this and suck our head in like a turtle and our arms and legs pop in because we think to ourselves, well, I got no point of reference whatsoever to talk to this person about. For real, this dude sticks needles in his arms. What the hell could I have a conversation with this dude about? How could I give advice to somebody like this? And then you realize that we all are in the same boat. What makes all of us the same is that there's just that feeling that we are going to make go away. We're going to make that feeling go away. And all of us find a different way to do it. And, there are people in the world who do the same thing, running 10 miles on the weekends and 5 miles a day. It's a lot healthier, I guess. It's a lot healthier. But there are a lot of things in the normal world that people can do to try to get a handle on that feeling of needing to get rid of the discomfort. Hey, Kenneth, or just feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. It's really kind of a difficult thing to describe unless you've been there. You know what I mean? It's actually really funny when I start working with people. It's the first time I've ever talked to them and they try to start, they try to explain the unexplainable. Right? I had been sober for 7 months. I had a job. Everything was going great. Nothing bad particularly happened that day. I just decided to go out and get an 8-ball and piss my life away. And it's very refreshing when you look at them and go, oh, yeah, I get that. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bad decision, but I understand why you make bad decisions when you're, if you don't get to the root of the problem. This is why I'm always yelling about journaling and doing all of the stuff, right? Putting the work in to actually become the best version of yourself. Hello, Becca Jean. Glad you're here. I really am. If you're going to get to the best version of yourself, Sarah Bowman, you're going to have to spend time every single day with pen to paper. Hello, Pat. Jamie Palmer wanted to share with you too. As of July 4th, 2024, my blog hit the 1-year mark. I mixed up the dates. And thought it was actually in a couple of days. After looking it up, I saw it was 16 days late. Well, congratulations. Can somebody with a wrench toss a link up for that? That would be cool. Can somebody get us a link for that? I'm not smart enough to do that. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. Glad you're here. And we're about ready to get this thing underway for real. Take this thing out to sea. Hey, Kathy. How are you? Glad you're here. I think I'm happy you're here. So illuminating, true and empowering connection is healing. It really is, right? It really is. And it's what we need most on this planet, I promise you. Really sad thing, to be honest. It's sad that we have reached a day on this earth where what could save us? What could save us is to sit down with somebody and have a conversation, throw your arms around them and hug them. Honest to God, the most basic of human needs we have beat out of the society. We have done everything we can to segment the society into smaller segments and smaller segments so that we could get everybody hating each other. And this kind of crap never happened before. It hasn't. I mean, this is a phenomenon of maybe what, 3 decades, like, 30 years old. It wasn't like this when we were all younger. We really did get together. And I don't just mean going to bars and getting, faced, but people hung out together. There were little cliques of people. There were tribes, right? I don't know how it was with you guys, but when I was growing up, like my parents, there were probably 7 or 8 different sets of parents and groups of people that all hung out together. Maybe not at the same time, but they were always in that little circle, always kind of going around. And you would hear a rumor, as a little kid, you pick stuff up. So-and-so and so-and-so are thinking about getting a divorce. And when I was a kid, that word scared the crap out of me. I mean, it did. That word just meant to me that someday my parents were going to do it. And just as a kid, it used to be very, very traumatic. If somebody that I knew close to me got a divorce, it would scare the shit out of me. But you would hear that. And then half of the time it wouldn't happen. And I remember years later talking to my dad, and my dad would say, well, yeah, we brought it up. They were bringing it up so that people would go and talk to me and go, what the hell's going on? Right? What are you cheating? Are you stepping on your wife? Get your shit together. Right? Tighten up your game. It really was a tribe of people to actually talk to each other. A better time. And I don't care what that time is. It was a better time. This reminded me of the lifeboat. You got gold inside of you. Well, from one Prine fan to another, you know what? John Prine is the Tampa B man. Good to see you. Cindy B, the greatest lyricist of my time, to be sure. John Prine will tear your heart out. He'll make you laugh. He can do all that crap, and it's real. Mo Love, good to see you. Really, really great lyricist. And thank you for that, by the way. I really appreciate it. Frank Humphreys. As a kid, I overheard the neighbors. Oh, no. You overheard the neighbors and they were into wife swapping. Well, I'll be damned. I do remember a conversation, and it wasn't about anybody, but I remember hearing adults talk about someone else and their lifestyle. And I didn't know who the someone else was. There was no point of reference to who they were, but I remember hearing that at an age and going, why? That cannot mean what I think it means. As a kid, it was just something you couldn't even wrap your brain around. Why would someone want to do that? Franklin, your dad sounds like a real prince. Franklin says his dad called on his 17th birthday to announce that he wanted a divorce from his. That's one of the saddest things I've ever heard. Really, sounds like an ace. Tommy Bird, I hear you, Tommy. Check this out. I remember family get-togethers on the weekends. No, not reunions. We called them cookouts on weekends. Anyone? No, it's exactly the truth. This is exactly the truth. Every weekend there was something going on. People got together, and block parties. There was just always something going on, and hey, Spike, it always brought people together. Everything that was being done was always being done to bring people together. Cool freaking concept, really is. And you know what? We all got along a whole lot better. It's a very interesting thing that happens when you start to actually connect with people. You will start saying some of the craziest phrases. Seriously, stuff will come out of your mouth that you'll hear yourself say and go, what? Stuff like, honestly, I don't care who you vote for. I don't have any desire to know what your political affiliation is. But if you happen to blurt it out and it's not the same as mine, I don't care. I don't care. I don't know where we got somewhere along the line, but if we don't agree on things, it doesn't mean we don't agree on things. It means that you're Satan, right? The person that doesn't agree with you, we have to villainize to the point where you really start getting a little freaked out about all the nice things they say about people. Habanese Dad Conroe can change the word love to life and use the same theme song. Yeah, there you go. The Lifeboat. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, Jamie Palmer. Absolutely. Hello, Miss Dragon. Good to see you. Glad you're here. It's like my sister, She really is. They pit us against each other. They really do. And the saddest part of it is, they just do this to make it easier to sell soap. Honest to God. They just do this because they want to make sure that when you're watching the news, that you're not going to leave and go check out other channels. So not only are they going to make sure that everything is slanted to exactly your echo chamber or my echo chamber or their echo chamber or whatever, it's going to be tailor-made, the news. Now, you can't change news. How can you do that? Oh, you can do that. Oh, you can do that. You can tell the exact same thing in different ways. I'll give you an example, and I don't care which side you come down on this, but it's really, really funny. There is a side out there saying that the assassination attempt that happened last weekend, there's a side out there saying that the former president took a bullet for his country. And there is another side out there saying a superficial flesh wound, not worth talking about. Now, somewhere in the real world, there's something in between those two things, right? But the news has got to give it to you in that way to keep you from leaving. Because if you really hate the guy, they want to make sure you stick around, so they're going to make him look like a shitball. But if you happen to love the guy, well, then we're going to make sure that we cater to that too, so that we can sell you soap and Mercedes Benzes and whatever else. But it's literally dividing a country and trashing it, basically a world, just so that it'll be easier to market shit to us. That's pathetic. Yeah, Franklin, thoughts and prayers with you, man. Just a flesh wound. You've lost your arm. No, I haven't. God, I love that, man. Monty Python is so funny. What happened to Bobby Kennedy? They cheated him out of the election. That's what happened to him. They straight cheated him out of the election. You know what his problem was, don't you? He was in the middle. He was. He didn't seem to take a wildly outrageous stance on anything. He kind of seemed to, go a little bit to the left and then a little bit to the right. Honestly, seemed to have a head on his shoulders. He really did. But the barbecues and get-togethers ended when most of our neighbors moved. Well, that does happen too. But I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, maybe this is me, but there is a very different, very different feeling today. You with me? I mean, it didn't feel in the 70s and 80s. There wasn't this. We have a kind of an undercurrent in the world and in this country that everybody's spying on us, right? They're trying to steal your identity, right? There's all of these things that, and I'm not saying they're not real. They're real as hell. But that when you go outside, every single place you go, you're on camera. There's a lot of things now that kind of make you do that 1984 Big Brother stuff. And I don't care which side of the equation you're on, but we're moving into times that the technology is really crazy. I want to live in Tommy Stig's neighborhood. You know what? You're not the first person to say that. You're not the first person to say that. Not only does Tommy Stiggs live in a great neighborhood, but everybody talks like an Italian, right? From the Northeast. I love that. What? No, a disagreement without people acting totally disagreeable? Nope. Totally on the verge of extinction these days. So beyond endangered. Yeah, you know something? Here's the thing, though. Honestly, every generation does everything within their power to piss off their parents. For real. So when parents were ultra conservative, the kids grew their hair down to their waist, and you dropped a lot of acid and did a lot of that stuff. And then it just kept going, right? It goes in and out. The 80s came in. There was dudes in suits and greed, and that was that generation, right? All of these things, they go in cycles. But we're going to see a generation of people that are going to be rebelling against every single thing that is happening right now. It happens all the time. And what scares me is, no matter who your parents are these days, there's an excellent chance that they're maybe a little bit too right or a little bit too left, right? If you go exactly in the opposite direction as far as possible, we're going to end up with little conservative fascists or little liberal fascists. It's going to be a terrifying thing. Honestly, I'm praying for a miracle. Really, yeah, I'm praying for a miracle. I just think that The saddest part is if we could all just get together, maybe have a great big hug circle, not even being funny. I mean, these are the kind of things I would have really, really laughed at the idea of a few years back. When I said straight on chat, I mean no addiction issues, but online computer games. Well, there you go. Do you know that gaming has been listed as the number one health concern in South Korea? True story. They're tripping out pretty heavy on that in South Korea. They think it is, it may be destroying the country. City B says, not me, man. I'm Switzerland straight down the middle. I respect that. I respect that. Here's the thing. I'm not at all, but I don't talk about politics with people. I just don't. There's so much other cool crap to talk about. For real. You know? I think I got to a point, people, and let's get this straight. Because people, I'm back in the news, so to speak. I'm getting trashed again. So let's go on the record so that at least people have a some kind of an idea of the channel or whatever. I'm no guru. I'm none of this shit at all. What I am is one person who's doing exactly what you're doing, right? I'm trying to get through this year sober, and then the next one sober, and then the one after that, right? I want to be in recovery until they close the Pine Box. That's kind of where I'm at. No, by in the news, I mean there's a lot of people now that are painting pictures of me in one way or the other, which never really stops, but they go in cycles too. You kind of get into the news. So yeah, occasionally you just need to state on the record. You know the love is patient, love is kind verse? I do. My mom said to replace my name where the word love is. Try it sometime. You know what? That's a pretty cool concept, actually. Miss Dragon says, I voted for Ralph Nader. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Well, you know who was what was the other one? Ralph Perot. You remember Perot? He was a lot of fun too. I like it, Cindy B. I mean, honestly, think of the stuff that we don't talk about anymore, right? Stuff we really are afraid to talk about, which for millennium, guys got together, and I mean, guys, I'm from the Northeast. I use that ubiquitously. People got together and had discussions on things like philosophy, right? What you believed, why are we here, right? The origins of man, whether or not men are born evil or they become evil, or if evil is even a thing. Like those kind of highfalutin things used to be really fun for people to sit around and talk about, right? It's a strange, strange world, man. Strange, strange world. Bobby Rusty, what's happening? Donna, Ross Perot, wasn't he a pisser? Ross Perot was really, really funny. He would come out and start going off on these absolute tangents, and he'd be, writing on a squeaky board at the same time, and he'd get to the end and talk about how much money the government was spending. We're blowing $30 billion a day. It's funny as hell. That's enough money to buy an outhouse and a still for every single person in West Virginia. Like, he was a nut. He really was. But everything he said was spot on. Sadly, it's another one of those things where the delivery sucks, right? That's the world of politics that we live in today. The guy with the greatest ideas, he also better be at least 6'4". He better have a lot of money backing him up, preferably some really good looks, right? And he better be quick on his feet, because they're not going to care about the issues once they really get in there. They're going to make jokes about how big the guy's junk is, or how many attractive wives he's married. God help us. Zombie Bird says our country needs a major miracle, or it's going to be communist in all but name. You know something? If we don't have some kind of a miracle, man, if you're not doing if we don't get some kind of a miracle that brings us together, I don't give a crap about any of the rest of it. I really don't. These are all constructs of the governments and all of that stuff. If you strip all of that away, right, it's still two people, a crowd of people, whatever, right? People whose hearts are beating, they got air going in their lungs and going back out. All of us, exactly the same as everybody else, right? Came into this world with all the same dreams, all the same ideas, and it doesn't matter what size of the globe You come on, right? Trust and believe the people that live exactly on the opposite side of the globe from where you are right now, they love their kids. They want their kids to have a better life than they do, right? Simple stuff. They probably really dig kitties and puppies. All of those things that keep us in the boat together, that make us all the same person. Sadly, we don't seem to friggin' concentrate on any of that shite, do we? We concentrate on the weirdest stuff. Damn. Hello, Reese. Angie Mo. It's kind of depressing. Kiwi Nan, good to see you. But I got some good news. Don't trip. I'm not all doom and gloom. I'm not all doom and gloom. I promise I do have some good news. And the good news is that all of this stuff that's bumming us out, it really is all a construct of our own. This is all what men has put together, right? Ditch it. You don't have to buy into any of this crap. You really don't. Stop. This is the greatest piece of advice anybody ever gave me. Truthfully, best piece of advice anybody ever gave me. Stop living in an echo chamber. Start trying to spend more time around people who don't agree with you. Start spending more time around people that aren't going to just go, yes, sir, yeah, and agree with everything you say. Because we've done that now. We just sit in rooms full of people that believe exactly what we believe. Start trying to get out of that a little bit, man. You say, oh, it's easier said than done. Actually, BS. If you watch CNN, turn on Fox. If you watch Fox, turn on CNN, right? Try to do that for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not saying it's going to change your mind, but wouldn't you like to at least know what the other people are saying? Since if you turn one of them on, they're going to say, over on the other one, they're sacrificing babies. I mean, it's usually the line of crap you get no matter which one you go on. I read my news, man. I don't want to hear anybody else's crap on it. I read news feeds. I don't have any time for that. I really don't. Hold on 1 second, people. Just let me make sure that this is okay. I love hanging out with people who don't agree with me. Done in a constructive way, it's the best thing ever. Jamie Palmer, you are not kidding. There's Kristen Melinda. We were asking about you earlier. You got the kid in bed? Well, that's good. It really is. Hold on. People, I do have I have a group of people. Just like I tell all of you guys to get a group of 5 people, I do have a group. It's not 5 anymore, but I do have a group of people that if any of them call. So I trip out when if I get a text or something, I want to make sure that you just blew tea out of your nose from laughing. I love when that happens. Did Reese not knock that out? Because that's usually something that Reese can make happen. In fact, I think Reese is damn near famous for that now. It's hilarious that I have a wrench, no idea how to use this thing. I'm much better. Yes, there you go. And there's how you get tea out of your nose. I kind of consider myself sober from politics. I quit following the daily news. It does affect your state of mind. Life is better now. Do you know why? Huh? For real. This is pretty simple stuff. We are, for lack of a better way to put it, a streaming service. Everything that happens around us comes straight through. And it's supposed to come by like a river. And we're just supposed to kind of let it go by and be cool with everything. And they call it living in the moment. You feel me? Okay. Unfortunately, we're not good at doing that. And I've used this example many times on the lifeboat before because it is an excellent example, right? A guy that he's got a wife that newlyweds, and he's driving through town and he swears he sees the white car that his wife drives, right? And sees her in it coming the other way. Unfortunately, in the passenger seat next to her is a dude, and he's leaning over and kissing her neck. And the dude goes, what the hell was that, right? And all day he's tripping, and he's like, oh man, when I get home, I'm gonna freak out. Before that happens, he talks himself out of it. There ain't no way that's her. And he says, hey baby, did you go anywhere today? She said, nah, I stayed at work. And he said, you know what? There's a lot of white cars. There's a lot of blonde girls. And they never talk about it. No big deal. Life goes on. About 4 years later, 5 years later, they get a divorce. Got nothing to do with that. They just get a divorce. I promise you, There will be times in that person's life for the rest of the time that they're on earth where a white car will come from the other direction and it will have a blonde woman in the driver's seat, and they will be back to where they were in every sense of the word. They will feel the exact same feelings. They may not know why they're feeling them, but the concept of letting things go by as opposed to grabbing them and pulling them in. You say, well, Tommy, that's a tough one. If you think that your girl's okay, pulling it in is taking it, not talking to anybody about it. This is why we journal. This is why we have therapists. And this is why we do not shove crap in the closet of your mind. You can't keep stuffing stuff in there with your foot. I'm not going to deal with this today. I'm not going to deal with this today. Today's been a piss day. I'm not dealing with this today. We just keep shoving that in there and shoving that in there and shoving that in there. And eventually it goes boom, and it blows off of the hinges. And all of that crap kicks into your brain at the same time. Think I'm wrong? Yeah. Talk to anybody who drugged themselves every day for, say, 10 years, 20 years. Because that's what drugs do. You don't have to make a conscious decision to do it, but all of the things that are happening in your life are just automatically getting shoved into that closet. You don't even have to make a decision to do it. The tar will take care of that, right? The blow will take care of that, whatever you're addicted to, the booze. But you don't deal with anything. So 30 days sober, 60 days sober, for some people 120, whatever. But you're going to get to a point where you go, and all of that emotion, all of those things. This is why they say it's a really good idea to have a therapist. It's a really good idea to have a tribe of at least 5 folks that you can call at any given time and say, you know what? I'm having a really bad day. And they're not going to sit for an hour and say, what does it mean that you're having a bad day? You go, well, I feel uncomfortable in my own skin. So what are you saying? You're going to go use? How stupid would you have to be to go and do that? The people that say stuff like that have never used, right? Or they've never been addicted to anything else. But you put a 5 together so that when you do call and say, man, I feel really uncomfortable in my own skin today. How bad are you? You thinking of firing off right now? Huh? Do I have enough time to drive over to you, or should we FaceTime? What do we got to do? Let's talk. You know what science tells us? If you can redirect that person for 8 minutes, right? And I don't mean like, hey, look over here, right? It's not one of those things. I mean, literally redirect them. Get them to sit down and start having a conversation. And it may not have anything to do with the subject matter at hand. It's a mistake people make all the time. The person's railing about this, or this. I'll walk up to them and see if they're a skier. Hey, man, you ski? What? I said, do you ski? You ever been on snow skis? Because if they have, I could talk to this person forever. And 8 minutes in, they're going to be so freaking calm. And then I can go, hey, how about taking a deep breath? What do we got here? Oh, Kristen, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that is frightening. She says, I'm terrified that I'm going to leave before my mom. She has dementia and I'm very sick. I'm scared. Well, Kristen, I can't imagine literally what you're going through. It's a terrifying concept. It really is. The idea that you wouldn't be there to take care of her is something that could absolutely keep you up at night. If this were me, if I were in your shoes, there would be 2 things that I would do. And I journal every day, right? We talk about this all the time here, but I would put pen to paper. And the 2 things that I would be working on are worst possible case scenario. That is actually what happens. Start making arrangements. God forbid, right? Don't wait until that actually happens. Start making arrangements for what would happen if that happened. Who would you get in place? Something along those lines. Because when you start to take control back of any situation, when you start to feel as if you have some control again, it will pull you off the edge. It always does. But you have to start putting pen to paper, start working ideas out on paper, because that is how you take control over situations which you cannot control. You also, on another page, need to start talking to your doctors. We've talked in here in the past. You have to get really tight with your team of professionals, right? What you just said right here is something that you need to say to every single person that is treating you, right? Here's my fear. I remember, this is one of those situations, people. Talk to your doctors, tell them everything that's going on in your mind. It absolutely blows my mind how many times someone will go and talk and they come back from the doctor and they call me. It was a terrible visit. They suck. They don't do anything. And I'll go, hey, explain to me what's going on, man. They didn't do anything about this ailment, that ailment. Did you tell them what was going on? Well, I mean, I told them it was hurting. No, you got to say, hey, you know what? I can't tie my shoes. This thing hurts so bad I can't tie my shoes. That's literally what was going on with this dude. And he goes, yeah, it hurts. People, you can fire your doctors, right? You can get in a doctor's face and say, you're not good at this. 9 years I've taken care of her, and they will move in and steal her money and put her in a home. That does happen, Kristen Kruger, but it doesn't happen always. That's the truth. I happen to know people in that industry, and not just Quibbs, who was in that industry for a long time, but there are people in that industry that are great people. There really are. I probably wouldn't put 14 Rolexes out on the table because human nature sucks. Sadly, it really does. Human nature sucks. Kathy says, Kristen, if you can watch Clint Ober's Earthing documentary, there you go. Whatever you do, Kristen Kruger, whatever you do, you have to start feeling like you're taking proactive measures. And this is anybody and anything. The worst thing that we can do in life always is to sit back on our heels, right? It's a boxing term, but you understand what I'm saying? If I feel like something's coming at me, right? And the old me every time turned around and ran. If I had a problem coming, I turned around and I ran. Whatever it is, I ran from my problems. I ran from relationships. I ran from fear. I ran from everything. And if I couldn't run, I just put enough dope in my body, and it felt like I ran away from it, right? I ran away from the problems. I might still be in the same place, but I ran away. That was my defining characteristic. But what you find is this: you're still going to have to fight, right? You're gonna. The problems chase you. They don't stop chasing you. So at some point, you're going to turn around to fight. And when you do, you're going to be exhausted. You're not going to have any energy. You're not going to be able to think because you've been on the run forever. Turn around right now while you got the most energy you're going to have. Start fighting whatever the problem is. And you start fighting that by writing things down on paper. What actions can you take today that are going to, you're not going to split the atom. You're not going to save the world. But what actions can you take today that will give you peace of mind that you are moving toward the goal line, that you are moving toward a place where you're not going to be freaking out, where you're moving toward a place where you're going to feel comfortable that she's being left in safe hands. Puka Vista says, no, that doesn't always happen. Mom's nurses were wonderful. And that happens a lot. There really are some good places, and there are some bad ones. Make no mistake. Chrissy Akers has some advice. Therapy records connected to your medical records. Are therapy records connected to your medical records? Therapy records are sealed. They're not allowed to see like the notes from your therapist and stuff like that. That stuff is sealed. If that's what you're asking me. I know that they may or may not, depending on if you're getting it paid for with insurance, if you were referred there, they may or may not show that you have appointments and that you're going, but they're not going to be talking about what you're talking about. Kathy says, and love and prayers to you both, Packer girl as well. On the bright side, right? On the bright side, coming here and saying that is the start of everything good. I mean this. This is the start of everything good. The other option is suffering in silence, right? And we do that. It's the first thing we do. Our number one instinct, right? Mine was to run. But before you can run, you got to withdraw. You got to pull back from everybody. And it is human nature because we don't want to be seen naked, right? The last thing in the world we want is to be seen naked with all of our everything out for the world to see. And that's exactly what happens, isn't it? You get sober and you're sitting there and the world is looking at you. He isn't so cool. He's a dope fiend. And this is the ants. This is all the stuff going on in your head. It's literally like having your clothing ripped off and you're just standing there without even ego, right? Nothing. It's a really tough place to be. But not standing up and saying, hey, you know what? I'm hurting. Takes an amazing amount of courage. And I'll tell you, to say I'm scared takes more balls to say I'm scared than anything else in the English language. I promise you, nobody likes to say it. Nobody, right? It says, I don't have control over this situation, right? I don't have control over this situation and I don't know what I'm going to do. Talk to people, right? Talk about it. I say this cliche all the time on here, right? But if you do not let it out, right? If you do not let it out into a journal or talking, right? It's going to get out anyway, but it will tear a hole in you to get out. And it usually tears a hole through your soul, unfortunately. That really is the truth. You know what? That sounds like something everybody should be able to see up there. Where the Light Leads by Kimberly Williams Paisley helped me with my mom's Alzheimer's. Excellent. This is the kind of thing that makes this place special as well. Somebody comes and says, I'm having a bad time. There are a lot of places you can go where people will say, hey, you know what? You doing all right? You feeling good? That's something. But it's something really different where people say, hey, you know what? I hope you're feeling better. I'm going to pray for you. And let me give you a little advice because I have been through this. Or let me give you a little bit of advice because I'm going through this. That's the kind of stuff that, I don't know, man, puts a lump in my throat. It really does. There you go. Here's Chris and Melinda. Also, for anyone to access your records, you either have to give permission or they have to be subpoenaed. I have been subpoenaed for a client before. It was no fun for anyone. Right. You have to sign, what is the form called? HEPA form, something like that. The releases. I hate not being in control, and I'm not. So right. Thank you all. That is, I promise you, that's exactly what it is, because we're all in the same boat. We're the same kind of people. And when we feel as if control we're losing it, it's no longer something that we can wrap our hands around. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. But whether you realize it or not, you just lit the fire to make it go away. Like, no lie. You want to fight fear, right? You walk at it. I promise. I promise. The stuff that's scaring the crap out of you, deal with it. Admit that it's scaring you. Let it out. Write it down. And then eventually, because if all you're doing is writing it down, eventually you're going to have to tell somebody, I promise. Journaling is great, but eventually you're going to have to say it. Kathy, we're grateful to have you here. The cure to stop dementia is socialization and exercise and good diet, says Max Smith. Well, I'll tell you something. Connection is the cure for everything else. You know, for real. It certainly changes life. Can't say cures, but it certainly changes every aspect of life. Connection really does make things better. And it would make perfect sense that as we withdraw, right, as we stop communicating, muscles atrophy, right? You break your leg, you don't use it for the 6 weeks they've got it in a cast or whatever. When you take it off, it's this big, right? Because you didn't get to use the muscle, so they atrophy. I promise you, if you don't use your dome, the same thing's going to happen inside your brain. Shannon Smith, you're funny. Shannon Smith says your inspirational talks are, well, inspirational. Well, I like that. Thank you. But I guarantee you it exacerbates dementia or any of it. You think I'm out here doing all this talking every day for my health? I am. I'm doing it for my brain health as much as anything else, I promise. It's recently been announced that dementia starts 20 years before the first symptoms. Jeez, I have read that. But do not start the process of early brain death. And I'm not saying that to be funny, but as you start to withdraw from society, as you stop talking to people, if you don't use the muscles, I promise you, they're going to atrophy. And there are people on the boat. I'm not going to put them on blast because I love these people and I would never do this. But there are people on here whose problem was lack of connection, right? That's literally where their problem was. And they have made major strides to get out of the house and go hang out with people and start to connect. But to hear them talk about how difficult that was, right? It is if I sat down and filmed it and I played it for you and I said, okay, what was this person talking about? You'd go, they were addicted to no. But it's the same kind of thing. If they talk about walking out the door and everybody in society looking at them like they know something's wrong, like they it just sounds like everybody I've ever helped. It really does. Meditation and breath work activate the brain and neurotransmitters again. You know what else does? People, God, I'm going to make so many friends with this. As of right now, the only thing that is showing a whole lot of promise on regenerating damaged brain cells is THC. I'm not kidding. A lot of stuff's being looked into in Israel on it. I'm not doing a lot over here, but so all of that time when we were in high school and they told you that stuff's going to destroy your memory, as it turns out, it might be doing the exact opposite. It definitely makes you have CRS, like you can't remember squat, but that's while you're using it. When you stop, that should come back. Audiobooks can be free with a library. And you know what? Audiobooks are great. I still work as a stenographer to keep my brain sharp. I love that. I'm married to a active man my age, cruising through life and helping mom's son. I love this, man. I love that. I really do. Shimmy, good to see you, man. Hookah Vista, year and a day. A year and a day? Yeah, THC. Do you believe it? Yeah, weed. Weed is actually helping with that. Jamie Palmer says, Tommy, I totally get that. I spent 12 years with minimal connection with people while taking care of my mom. Got more connection within the last year than I did in the 12 years. I'm so thankful. I love that. Here's the great part, people. I had an opportunity to put this to the test, literally put this to the test. You got to think about where I was before I got out, right? I had one person that I could communicate with. We were in a lockdown unit, not because I did anything wrong, but because we were during that time period. So it was me and a dude. And to be really honest with you, he was 23 or 24. It just was not a whole lot that me and this cat could talk about. And he would put a radio on and he would, because you watch TV and you have to listen to it. And he would stand at the door with a mirror so that he could see that it was the saddest thing in the world because he wanted to be entertained by the television. But I was in there reading. And I mean, I was trying to keep my brain going by reading and reading and reading. But when I got out, I remember the first time I got off the bus and I started walking up the stairs to the house and there was like 4 or 5 people when I first walked inside. And it was like, I mean, my skin started to grow. I felt like everybody here is they all want to fight. That was the first thought was there's no chance that I'm going to get upstairs and get into my room without getting in a fist fight. Because every time that many people had been congregated in the last 6 years of my life, 7 years of my life, it was because something really bad was about to happen. It takes a long time. And I would meet people in there and they look at you and go, ooh, did you just get here? Yeah, it'll get better, man. It'll get better. I know it's probably really weird right now, but it'll get better. But the difference in me, the difference in my cognitive ability, every time I withdraw, every time, I'll say the boat's too much to handle or it's stressing me out or whatever. And it does. I mean, make no mistake, it does. But if I pull back and I stop doing things, then I get in a hell of a lot of trouble because my brain just doesn't work right. I myself have the start of Alzheimer's. I've been reading everything I can to educate myself so I can educate my family. I've started paperwork for everything that will happen to me. No tears. Tammy, I respect that. I have a very similar diagnosis, and I've done all of the same things, and that's taking control. That's taking control. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can control this crap here today. So I'm going to do that, right? That what's going to happen to the mind 5 years from now or 3 years from now or 2 years from now, we have absolutely no control over that. Here's the 5% that we can control. Let's do that, right? I'm going to make sure that that squirrel's never going to have a dirty litter box. It's important to me, man. It's important to me. So, put little sticky notes up and things around. The cat's not going to suffer, I promise. Call hospice. You may qualify and not know it says CBC. Yeah, you know what? Let's do this here. That's for everybody. That is for everybody. I'm not a big fan of alprazolam. I'm not. Of Xanax. I'm not a doctor. I was a guy that abused drugs for a long time, but I am not a big fan of Xanax. Amy B, I would imagine it was. I do this too. I do this too. All the time. Squirrel's pretty cute when she wants to go outside, isn't she? Squirrel's got me trained. It's so weak. It really is. I mean, I'm absolutely whipped by that cat. Tampa B, how you been? Yeah, I am very happy right now, people. I really am. There are some things that would make me happier, right? But the things that I can control right now, I'm pretty happy with. Yes, we probably have trained each other mutually. I have a couple of other. You can't put them all up. You got to sort of bleed shorts out. But I got some unbelievable film with Squirrel today. I really did. Yeah, Shannon Smith. You know what? I let her out. The thing is, when I let her out, I got to go out with her. Like I don't let my cat go and just cruise around or whatever because we got a lot of hawks and they carry off dogs, no lie. So I'm gonna be out there with Squirrel. Um, it's just that simple. I'm always out there. Clonazepam in small doses is the way I sleep, says Christian Kruger. Yep, that's Clonopin. That's the top of the food chain for benzos. That's way up there. It's just very strong benzo. But to me, it doesn't seem to have that happy feeling that you get from Xanax, and that is what I hated. That almost psychoactive feeling. I like being sedated. I always have, but I didn't like it. Felt like I was playing with my mind. And we're happy that you're happy. Cindy B, thank you. Yeah, Tommy Bird, thanks for everything you do. I like that sentiment. Hey, Wilford. Yeah, take Bo, Tommy. Free cleaner of the cat's box. Yeah, Bo will clean out a cat box. Sadly, he only takes the deuce. I'm always told Valium is the worst of benzos. Is that true? That's going to be, honestly, it's going to be like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, RC Cola. To me, most benzos are very, very similar, right? They're all a little bit off from one another in strength, and some again seem to have like a happy component to it. Valium does not. Diazepam is just it's just a sedative. It's like a tranquilizer, rather. It's like drinking. You take 10 milligrams of that. To me, it always felt like 5 or 6 beers. You take one pill, and that's what it always felt like to me. Yeah, I'm not a fan of benzos are hellaciously addicting. And when you get addicted to it, Laura Lou says Clonopin was something I needed more and more of. Yeah, that's usually the way that goes. Um, Once you get fully addicted to a benzodiazepine, it's just like being fully addicted to alcohol, right? You're gonna need medical intervention to quit. I know there will be people here that said, I quit cold turkey. Okay. I played in the traffic a lot as a kid. I'm still here, right? But the numbers game says if you keep playing in traffic, you're probably going to get hit by a car. And the numbers game with benzos is the second leading cause of death in jails in the United States is acute benzo withdrawal. It's the combo of benzo and alcohol. Uh, Unaliving yourself would be number one. Number two would be guys who do not tell the truth when they go in there and they don't say, I'm an alcoholic, I drink this much, or I'm addicted to benzos and this is how much I take. They lie about it, they go to their cell and they end up seizing up. And it happens a lot. Kristen Kruger, if if you're in hospice, why would they not give you alprazolam? Now, I mean, if I'm not being disrespectful, I really am trying not to, but if you're at the end of the line, you're not, what does addiction have to do with anything? That usually goes out the window with hospice. What the hell's wrong with these people? For real. Priscilla Jagger says some benzos have a shorter half-life than others, such as Xanax. Yeah, they're all of them have slightly different components, right? They all seem to end, they all sound very similar. You can usually tell if something diazepam, clonazepam, fluoxetrazepam, they all have that AM kind of sound to the end of the name. I'm forgetting a bunch of them. Lorazepam, that's Ativan. Yeah, no shame. No shame at all. Valium helps muscular pain for a few days. You like that analogy? I'm not sure which one anymore. I'm always so far behind, but I'm glad you liked it. Shannon C says, I'm on Valium and I just feel judged in a way by some docs. It helps so much. And I know the docs are probably just worried, and I'm worried about getting addicted or dependent to it. You know, I talk about this a lot. Would you rather be dependent on pain or would you rather be dependent on pain medication? I can't take pain medication, but most people can, right? Don't let the doctors, don't let anybody else. If this makes your life better and you're not abusing it, and you know what? You know if you're abusing it. Everybody knows if they are. It's really simple. Take the side of the pill bottle. It'll tell you what you're supposed to be doing. If you're doing double that, right, you're abusing it. You're trying to get high. If you're doing that, I'm not mad at you. I'm not. I did that for years, but there's not much I can do to help you, right? I'm not going to tell you how to beat the system. You can keep coming back. We don't tell people not to show up because they're using. Keep coming back and listening. Maybe something will you'll hear something. But I don't think somebody that does benzos is a drug addict. Right? I don't. They may need this stuff, right? And if they may be dependent on it, but there's a difference between dependent and addicted. In order for you to be addicted, you have to have a gene and then be dependent as well. There has to be something inside your body that is different than the next person's. You are a predisposition to the disease. Then you get dependent, and when the chemical leaves your body, the addiction goes, oh, hell no. No, you're going to go out and get more of that. And that's usually the way that works. Frank Humphrey says, serious business, risk of seizures if you don't ramp down properly. Fact. Oh, the PAMs. Valium must be a good muscle relaxer because it helps me pee on my own and not need a catheter. No, that's okay. I'm not worried about too much information. Is that right? Yeah, well, if that works, that's fantastic. Normally, the muscle relaxers are a different family than the benzos. That would be your cyclobenzaprine, Flexerol, Carisoprodol, Soma. Yeah, that's another wildly abused class of drugs. I agree with you. If you're in hospice, you should have the best drugs ever. You should. They should make sure that you're not in pain, and they should make sure that it's not going to be that it's going to be as pleasant as possible. That's the way it's supposed to be. Good God in heaven. Hammond Up Again says, I was put on Valium as a child, like between 8 and 12 years old. It was horrible. Makes me sad now to know that. I was having severe night terrors. God help us. That's really young. God help us. Yeah. I need to change with my connections. Kim Roy says, been caring for my husband for the past 9 months, and I've been pretty isolated. I lurk here. Well, we need you to stop lurking. If that's the easiest way right there. We start off by not lurking. That's a hell of a start. Taban. Sorry about that. If it makes you happy. Lorazepam. How's that? My brother's an alcoholic, 10 years sober, but I just wonder if that addictive, if the addictive gene is in you. If your brother has it, there's a decent chance you could, but it's not that cut and dry. if you start to see that you cannot follow the instructions on the side of the pill bottle, you got to at that point know that that's exactly who you are, right? Then you need to talk to your doctor about it because there's other options, right? There are other options. You're taking Zoloft for PTSD. I'm afraid to stop. You don't stop any of those without talking to a doctor, please. Don't get off any antidepressants cold turkey. You got to talk to your doctor before you do that, for real, because you will throw your brain into a wicked, terrible tailspin. It's really a bad idea to play with the brain chemicals. Talk to doctors before you do any of that, please. I have come to enjoy the van. You like that, Kristen? Kim Roy says the boat has been my connection, been a true lifesaver for me. And you know what? It's great having you here, Kim. For real, you very quickly became part of the fabric of the boat. It's a better place because of you. And one of the first crushes I ever had in my life was on a girl named Kim Roy. True story. I was messed up for a couple of years. I still have a picture of her. She was a cute girl. Angie Mo says, I use Valium as well. Actually, the same thing helps my bladder tremendously. I haven't had to use catheters in years. That's awesome. Anything that's working for you that way, because I'm not a fan of catheters personally. Laura Lou says, my BFF is an alcoholic. It is rampant in her family. And you know, when it's really rampant in a family, that's really horrific because you got the genetic component, right, which is the nature, but the nurture is a child growing up and watching everybody around them get sloshed every time something bums them out, or every time there's a celebration, or every time there's an anything. Hey, what do you say there, Squirrel Nut? She does that for the camera. I promise you. Anytime she gets in the basket, she does not ever do it over my shoulder unless I'm live. The cat is a consummate professional. Kimi Nan, I was a long-time lurker. This is such an awesome community. Connect with. Yeah, you know what? It really is. Cindy B, I can see why, I mean, it seems to me that it would have to be a muscle relaxer, right? It would have to relax your muscles. I mean, if you've ever taken Valium, I mean, it really does kind of, it makes your butt grow roots, and you get right to the couch, and it's hard to get up. It's hard to move. I mean, it definitely relaxes you. It relaxes me to the point where I'm probably not safe. I'm not great with benzos. I don't think they're too close to my drug of choice. If you can nod on it, I can't take it. If it can cause you to nod out in any way, I need to avoid it. I like going this way, right? I've never been one for doing this. I mean, truthfully, I don't like that buzz. I always liked having myself, being sedated. 24 hours to go. I want to be sedated. Anybody? Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Oh, I know I got a couple of Ramones fans here, man. Cindy B says, oh, I've taken it, Tommy. It relaxed my ass into next week. That is too funny. I give up. I was trying to find something back there, but I'm never going to find it. There's nothing wrong with the Ramones being stuck in your head. If any of you are complaining that the Ramones are stuck in your head, you should really, really feel bad. Ham It Up Again says, I still feel socially awkward and disliked even in my 50s. Well, I got news for you. You're not disliked. Honestly. Every time anyone's ever come and talked to me about that, these are the things that automatic negative thoughts, right? The automatic negative thoughts in your head tell you these things. We call them ANTs, right? Acronym for automatic negative thought. And they just do this number and crawl all over you. And it sounds like they're telling you that, you're not graceful, you're not pretty, you're not good, right? Nobody likes you. These are the things that the automatic negative thoughts are telling you. We need to kill them, right? We need to get rid of the automatic negative thoughts, and that can be done. Kim is Blue said, I may have purchased the best of the Bee Gees at a thrift store today. That's what I'm talking about. You will never regret buying a Bee Gees album. Kristen Kruger, I am so glad that you shared with us. I really am. I'm so glad that you shared with us. Jimena, I lived my life like that. I do know what you're. Trazodone is a very, very unusual drug, but it is not a benzo. I don't know what the hell it is. Honestly, I don't know what it is. They often use it as a sleeping medication, but it's not a sleeping medication either. It just, I think it's been used off label for just about everything. Wow. Frank Humphrey says, my friend's dad was an addict. He kept Valium in a large candy jar on the coffee table. There was a time where I was, the Ramones should be stuck in your head. That's right. Hey, Don Gloves. Cinderella's Glass Slipper. Good to see you. You saw them open for Pearl Jam. Very cool. Damn ants. That's right. I told my energy healers I was going to stop coming here. She said I was self-sabotaging. If you are feeling, and everybody's going to get pissed when I say this word, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you're feeling like spiritually, somehow you get fed doing something, anything, I don't think now would be a really good time to stop it. Whatever that is, right? From what you've described to us, if there is something that is making you feel better, keep doing it. Keep doing it. I don't think you have to answer to anybody for any reason. Linda Reese says, I'm dependent on a couple of things and I hate it. And the stigma that comes with it. But it is what it is. And you said that out loud, right? You're not going to get any judgment here. The stigma doesn't exist on this channel and in this format. So you can come here and talk about the things that are bothering you, the problems that you're having, and no one's going to go, you did what? Let me clutch my pearls, you addict. Let me tell you something else about Trazodone. This is a great end of the show story, because I think I've told this on the boat before, but Kristen Kruger, you should feel helpful. And now you got an army of people who will be praying for you, right? Oh, Bowman, you're looking fantastic in green, and I love that kitty cat on there. It's a great looking cat. Look at that cat. Corn Freak says, question, any knowledge of why gabapentin is abused? I have loved ones that take large amounts, but I don't know what it does. Downer for sure. Yeah, I've got some insight onto that. Gabapentin is a drug that it's a very confusing substance. It originally, this was an anti-seizure medication. And then they started using it off label for all kinds of things. And they found out that it kind of numbs like nerve endings and things like that. So they started treating nerve pain with it. And it got used a lot inside the prison systems, as a lot of drugs do. And anything that gets used in the prison system, guys are going to save 50 of them and eat them because they got nothing else to do, right? For real. They try to abuse everything. And what ended up happening is that when you got up to the higher doses, you will get the body buzz that you will get feels a lot like heroin. It really does. Feels a lot like a very strong opiate. But there's none of the real psychological feeling like you normally would have. And the other side effect is people on it can't shut up. For real. Like they'll just start jaw jacking. And if you get two of them that are on it, forget about it. You just want to be in a different room. They'll be talking over each other and not even know that they were doing it. But it's another one of those really unusual substance in that Well, I don't want to give people the amounts that you have to get your buzz because I don't ever want to be that kind of channel. But let's just use a simple system, right, of 1 through 4, and say that if you had to take 4 in order to feel a buzz, once your brain seems to get used to what that feeling is like, the next time you can take half as much and it will have the same effect. And everyone I've ever met had that same thing. Like once they realized, it's almost like you have to understand the buzz before you can have it. It's not pleasant though. Lyrica is the same family. So one is gabapentin and the other is pregabalin. So Lyrica is in the same family. They often write one or the other. Here comes the monsoon. The difference I found between the two of them, Lyrica seems to be a little bit stronger and it causes a crap load of weight gain. But I'm not a doctor. I'm a guy that abused drugs. Oh my God, the bad dream side effect from trazodone sucked. And waking up with my heart pounding, I will never take them again. Well, if you're a guy, there's another side effect of trazodone that is just awful. And hummingbird, my goodness. And hummingbird is making it rain like hot sauce packets. I mean, a bunch of you are going to be turning green. I love it. Thank you so much, Ann Hummingbird. Trazodone has a side effect called priapism. And what priapism is an erection you can't get rid of. It's not going to go away, plain and simple. Not going to happen. And I'm sorry, I was reading Tommy Bird. So we were in the shoe, and this guy had come in the segregated housing unit, the hole in prison, and a guy came in and he goes, "Hey, you guys got any drugs?" There was 4 of us in a 2-man cell, and we said, "Yeah, we've been stocking up on all kinds of stuff. Most of us have been back there 5 and 6 months." He's like, "What do you got?" We're reading everything out. There was some gabapentin back there. There was some this, that, and then someone said, "And a trazodone." He goes, "Oh, I've never heard of that stuff." He's like, "What's it going to do?" He says, "Make you feel like like you got a buzz, like you've been drinking or anything like that. It kind of just makes you a little bit dizzy." And he goes, "No side effects or anything like that." And my friend says to him, he goes, "Yeah, there's a couple of side effects." He said, "But the one is like they say it's like 1 in 400, or it's the odds are really not very good that you could get it." But he took a couple of pills. We started playing cards. And he didn't say anything to us. We just kept playing cards, nothing. But when they came to open the food slot to bring the pills for pill line, you could see him down there like this, talking to the nurse. And they're not nurses, they're nice people, but prison will take a lot of the nice out of you. They're very to the point. And he's like, "I kind of have to go down to medical." And she's like, "Well, you need to tell me why." And he's like, "Well, it's a bit embarrassing." And she's like, "Well, I don't really care. If it's embarrassing, you need to tell me what's up." And he's like, "Well, I got one I can't get rid of. And so gonna probably need to get out of here." And he did. And when they brought him back, he wasn't amused. The process of getting it back down to normal size required some needles. They drained him. He was not very happy. Yeah, pretty bad. I'm down on my SSRI by 75. Yes, scared for life. It was really funny because once they did bring him back, he was in the same unit, in the same cell for about 14 or 15 days. And at night, or basically right before dinner, these guys would all start rolling out their stuff to catch a buzz. And every time, dude would be like, "No, I'm good, man. I'm good." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Got a cup of trazodone in here with your name on it." Well, yeah, trazodone's no good. No good. Here's the thing. Stick to what they write you a prescription for. If they wrote you a prescription for something, take it the way it is on the side of the bottle, and you don't have a drug problem. Pretty simple math. All right, people. We're about that time. Wonder what it does to lady parts. Apparently nothing, Mara. I've read this, and Tina Marie says, "I've seen the procedure and it isn't pretty." Yeah, I bet it isn't. Can you overdose on it? Go with the assumption that you can overdose on everything. That's a really good assumption. It's been dehumanizing to need tramadol, same dosage. You know something? That's awful. It really is. You should not be made to feel like a leper or like a drug addict because you need a medication in order to not be sick. That's disgusting. And I'm sorry that it's happening to you. I literally scream often about how doctors take care of people. It's or don't take care of people. But you have the ability to get up in their face and say, "Hey, no, right? This isn't working right. You need to be able to talk to your doctor and not take any crap." It makes ladies turn into waterfalls, obviously. Well, there you go. This has been a great time, says Packer Girl. I really needed y'all tonight. Ones to all who need them. I'm going to sign off with ones to all that need them. And I really hope I am going to see all of you. It isn't an opiate. It just plays one in prison. Trazodone. I mean, not trazodone, but the other one. Yeah, it's not a opiate. Tramadol. Tramadol is not really an opiate. Kind of feels like one, but it's not. It's different, is what it is. All right. Mara, thank you. What a kind thing to say. John Van Geest, you're funny. All of you are funny. All right, people. We will be back tomorrow. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. All right. Good night.